Hi everybody, namaste. Welcome to the Yoga Shack again. This is Marty and I am back. 2 weeks it's been since I've done a video. Lots of stuff has been going on. I've been prepping for a surgery that's happening next month. And oh yeah, if you're new, check out the top of my YouTube channel. I have an introduction. I have like a weird montage of pictures of my life from like when I was a kid to now, and then there's an introduction connected to it about who I am and sort of my path and whatnot. So I just wanted to check in. And oh my god, I'm seeing my husband's feet outside my window right here, and he just came home and I told him I was going to do a video, and he had to stick his feet off the porch on the outside of the house and he's twiggling them, so if I get distracted, that's why. Yes, I'm happily married, living on the island. Yes, it does happen. It's happened to me 3 times in this life. In my life after I came into recovery. Before that, it was just freaking insane. It's like who had time for a boyfriend when you're an escort and running escort services and stuff like that too? Why complicate things? It's like that's how insane I was for me. And so in 1991 I started to that's what I guess I wanted to talk about. It's just being a woman of transsexual experience. I like to say that transgender has so much under it now. I just want to be specific. For me, I had a transsexual experience when I was growing up in the 70s. It's like we were called transsexual, sex change, all that stuff. It wasn't like dirty words. That just is what it was. It's like and before I was transsexual or even knew what that was, we just called ourselves gender fuck. And we just said that because that's all we knew, and that's the way we coined it back then. Now it's like gender fluid and non-binary and all these different stuff that I'm learning. So I think it's really important to remember that, you know, even myself as a 55-year-old transsexual woman of transsexual experience, I just consider myself a woman. Just like if you're Asian or whatever like that, it's like that was my path, and I decided to become congruent, just like a cis woman with a vagina, and you know, all that stuff too. It didn't feel right until then, and now there's all this array of all this other stuff, and so since then, it's like I've had a relationship early in recovery, just before I had my bottom surgery, with a beautiful man, but he really wanted me to stay pre-op downstairs, and I was not into that. It didn't feel comfortable, and you know, within a year into my recovery, I had the surgery. I live in Canada, British Columbia, and I was the first one. It was the NDP government, New Democratic Party government, and Joy McPhail, I love you, Joy McPhail, she was the Minister of Health, and she put through the beginning of it being outright paid for up front. And I was the first one that they sent down to a Dr. Toby Meltzer, and I know a lot of people have had trouble with him, but for me it worked out really good. So so for me, after I had the surgery, then I started to experiment a couple times with very short relationships with men, but they were in recovery. So recovery is the 12-step recovery is kind of it's a spiritual based program, not religious but spiritual. Like you can believe in just, you know, the great outdoors or, you know, whatever. For me it was Buddhism. And I had a couple experiences. You know, I hung out the sheets, the bloody sheets, as you say, you know, with my virginity, you know, with somebody. Actually, he wasn't in recovery. He was somebody I worked with. And yeah, I experimented, and they were all with straight men. Well, some that did have had played around like in college type of thing, just like women do. But you know, open-minded men, and I was always very, very open with what I was, what my experience was, and right from the beginning. And some were shocked, and you know, but then didn't care, so it was good. So I don't give advice, but it's just my experience, and I can just you know, suggest that it might be a good idea to be upfront. It helped with me. And then 11 years ago, I met my first husband in this incarnation completely. And I was completely forthright with him. And he, and we had a lovely marriage for a while, and I helped raise his son. And I mentioned this before, and but he was a straight guy, and he was from San Francisco. He grew up in San Francisco, so he was 10 years older than me, so he grew up, you know, as a young child in the hippie scene, and you know, and so he saw all the, you know, interesting people. So it didn't really freak him out when he saw me. Actually, we met on a dating site, it's just a regular dating site, and I was upfront with all my stuff. So he was just really interested in seeing me because we were both into Buddhism and all that stuff too. So it happens, and then and unfortunately things don't work out after 5 years, so we got divorced. And 4 years later, I met this beautiful man that I married a year ago, and he's just amazing. And you know, at the beginning, like he said, you know, if I was pre-op, he wouldn't have been interested. And now that we're together, and now that he knows my life and my friends and stuff like that too, he's very open and saying that, you know, I love you so much that it's like it wouldn't have mattered to me now, like if I'd met you now with what I know now, type of thing. So it does happen, right? But for me, I wouldn't be comfortable with that, you know, type of thing. It just wouldn't feel right to me. I never did. But you know, if I was born 10 years later, like in the mid-70s or something like that, I was born then, you know, it might be different. So yeah, because yeah, it's tough out there, and I'm on social media a lot, and I just want you to know that it does happen. And I think just being honest and being open and is the best way to meet people. And you know, I did the club scene. I was the freaking queen of the clubs and the showgirl circuit and all the punk stuff and everything. Very young in my life, and it came with the territory. It was very dysfunctional relationships, and any of my cis girlfriends and everybody else had like dysfunctional relationships too, because it was a big city, and that's what people do. Like, people are players. People, you know, it's all one big soap opera type of thing. You know, is the exceptions and stuff, but you know, it wasn't until I just got out of the scene and just focused on, you know, my art in a different way and in recovery, and started meeting people, meeting men, and being completely straight with them, in, you know, for lack of a better word, and they just knew that I led a spiritual life. I lived by the golden rules of life, and you know, if it's Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, whatever like that, just common sense, you know what I mean? And I just started to meet that tribe of people, and yeah, and it just worked out. I'm really, I'm more happy than I've ever been in my whole life. I feel like I've finally, at 55, I've found a safe place to land, to heal, to talk about my experience, strength, and hope, to write, to do what I've wanted to do. Because I put down all my creative stuff when I entered recovery, because it was all wrapped up in such darkness and in the big city and all that stuff too, and I had to figure out a way to flesh that out and to be in the light and do it. So hopefully that made some sense, and but anyways, we're gonna end with a yoga pose, and then I might throw some little performance ditty at the end of this, because when I put it at the beginning of my videos, people kind of freak out for some reason, and they go, what's going on? So anyways, let's just do a nice restorative breath work, okay? So come with me on a little trip. Again, focusing on your nostril tips. As we breathe out, we pull in the tummy. I should come out this way. We pull in the tummy as we exhale. Getting all the dead air out. And then inhale, let the belly rise. Exhale, pull in the belly. Inhale, let it rise. Exhale, pull in the belly. Inhale, let it rise. Now exhale, just drop the shoulders and breathe normally. Beautiful. And then just listening to the sound of my voice, feeling nicely relaxed and anchored, and listening to my voice. Whenever the mind wanders, just come back to my voice and what we're doing. And if you can close your eyes and just imagine the outline of your body from the top of your head and the way that you're sitting, if you're sitting in a chair or on the floor or the office or on a bus with earbuds on. Just see how you're outlined, the way you're sitting. And imagine everything inside that outline is empty. No flesh, no bone, no blood. Just completely spaciousness. Feel your shoulders relaxing more as you let go of everything inside. And then coming into view is a beautiful light. A beautiful white light, filling that whole shape of your outlined up body. Beautiful bright light. This is your true nature of your mind. Clear light, love. And just know that anything that comes up in the monkey mind upstairs or whatever, it's not of that light. Just come back to that spaciousness, this light. Beautiful. And with the power of this beautiful, relaxed, spacious light, notice any part of that outline of your body that feels like it's aching maybe, or it's too busy. Maybe it's your mind, maybe you've got a headache. Maybe you've had trouble with some emotional stuff and you feel it in your chest. Or your knee or something like that. Just touch your body wherever it is with one hand. Emotional. Been going through some emotional stuff. Freaking out about surgery that I'm having next month. So I'm just trying to calm down that energy that I feel in my chest there. And just imagine breathing into that. The more you breathe into that, the more light goes to that area, loosening it, creating space for it to release. Imagine it releases on the exhale. We're not trying to get rid of it, we're just allowing it to move, and we just bless and release it. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Breathing in. Wherever it is, just breathing in spaciousness, letting it create space in that tension wherever it is, if it's in your head or your knee, physically. Just letting that spaciousness open up that part that's creating pain, and letting that energy be released and move when it wants to, just letting it go. Beautiful. Just do that a couple more times, breathing in. And as you exhale, just thanking it for its lessons that it gave you, and releasing. And notice that it's more spacious, more fluid. You're more accepting of it. Beautiful. And then gently coming back into the room to the sound of my voice. Opening up your eyes from my smartphone to yours, or computer. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And with that, I shall say namaste, which means the highest good in me recognizes the highest good in you. And when we recognize that in each other, we are one. Love you. Have a great weekend. Bye. I'm getting lots of sun and lots of rest. It's really hot. Love and kisses. XX000.